How's it going, everyone? What's up, my people on Twitch? Yeah, so I plan to just work on this community project some. I've been kind of not investing too much time in it, but right now we have 4 pull requests, so I'm gonna kind of go through those and see if there's anything we can merge in. And then kind of demo what we have. It's been 2 weeks since we started this project, I think. And the community has actually done quite a lot of work to make this a really cool project. I think it's kind of dying down a little bit, which is fine, because I think a lot of the work's already been kind of done. But yeah, let's check out these PRs. So we got one that has a bunch of conflicts, so I'm not even going to bother reviewing that. 727 results for anonymous. Yeah, so let me pull real quick. And I'm going to do an npm run dev and make sure this works. I think I might need to do an npm install first. Let's see. All right, so this is what we currently have. There's been quite a lot of work added to this project. I'll walk you through some of what we have, and then I'm going to kind of review this PR and kind of show you the feature he's adding. So right now, if you are logged in, you can actually go and try to find another race to do. We've been focusing a lot on the practice mode, so just like you're a single player person, you just want to kind of get some TypeScript practice. Kind of like don't like how there's no feedback on that button. But anyway, this is local, so like the seed data I have locally is just kind of bad. But the idea, you can practice typing whatever. Not doing too good today. Let's see. I would like some feedback. Like when you finish the race, it just freezes. Not the best user experience, especially locally. When you're on the deployed environment, it doesn't seem like it freezes. But like some type of message or loader or something, like so you know it's about to navigate to another page. But once you finish the race, it tells you your characters per minute, your accuracy. I did mess up a couple times there, so it dropped my accuracy, how long it took. This is something really cool someone added, where every time you type a character, it tracks what your current CPM was at that point in time. So like you can see where you started to make mistakes, your accuracy is dropping, your CPM is slowly increasing. I think the top line is accuracy, the bottom line is CPM. Yeah. So you see here you like messed up, and you can actually see what letters you messed up on, right? So if you're like typing TypeScript, which I probably should have done in this example, you can see like, okay, I obviously mess up on doing semicolons or something. This is a really cool feature. I'm really glad someone actually added this in because I didn't even think about this. You can also replay. Don't know how useful this is, but it is pretty cool too. You can basically play to see the exact keystrokes that you did, unless this is broken. I don't think I've tried this in a while. Oh, there it is. I guess I didn't start this for a while, so you can see like where I messed up. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. This is all in local storage. Oh, there we go. We got a crash. So I'm not sure what happened there, but I guess I'll make a bug report for that one. So let's go here. Go to new issues. What's up, Mallow? Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, when I said I'm not doing good, I mean like typing wise. Like I was mistyping a bunch of stuff. I'm doing fine. Yeah, so the bug is application crashes. I don't know why I can't type today. What's going on? I think I'm mistyping. Application crashes after replaying. I'll just take a screenshot of this, that, paste a screenshot in. I'll say I was logged in, I finished a race, then I clicked the play button inside the replay tab, and the app crashed. Now, technically, I'll probably have like OBS running and record what happens so that someone can actually like verify these steps. But I don't have, I'm streaming right now, so I can't really record it. So this is the error screen. And I'll say steps to reproduce, start a race. Let me go back. This is one thing I don't know about Next.js. Like when you hit an error, no matter what page you go to, it just always shows this error. Do I need to close it first? Is that what's going on? I don't know. The people who work on Next.js, I don't know why they don't think they should fix this. Like, this is such a bad user experience. And I've seen this happen on prod too. Like when you build and deploy, the moment you hit a single exception on your application, they can never use the back arrows on their browser. Just garbage. All right, but let's go ahead and click practice. Type in some words. And there we go. Go to the replay tab. I'm gonna go ahead and click hover over there. I'm kind of showing you like what you'd actually do in a real system. Like if you run into a bug, someone's gonna have to open up a bug report. You have to prioritize it, triage it. Like how critical is this bug? This would be more of like a high severity or critical bug. Well, actually, I don't know if you call it high severity because I don't know how many people use the replay functionality. So it might be like a medium or low. Like, yeah, you can click the replay, but then the app crashes. But also go to replay tab, press the play button. The app crashes after finishing the replay. I don't know. Good luck, whoever's working on this. But I guess the idea is you should try to put as much information in the bug report so that any dev can pick it up and like follow your steps one by one. I don't like how I use bullet points there, so I might actually go back and edit that. Probably better if I do like 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that the proper markdown thing? You do like dots. Good enough. All right. So if you guys are interested in working on this project, there's a bug for you. You can grab this bug, assign it to yourself. Well, you can't assign it to yourself. So go down here, leave a comment, say I plan to work on this. And if you can knock this out, make a PR, I'll get it merged in. But let me double check that this bug happens every single time. I'll click play. Good to make sure you can reproduce the bug. Yeah, okay, so it's definitely a real bug. I haven't used Drizzle, so I don't know. I mean, people say it's nice, but yeah, you can replicate it, so you can reproduce it. All right, so that's basically the idea. I also have the functionality to report snippets. So if people are uploading bad snippets, people can report them. I kind of would like this to gray out after, oh wait, this is a new snippet. Never mind. Anyway, so if someone uploads some garbage snippet, you can report it. And then I'm an admin, which I don't have that set. So let me go and load up NPX Prisma Studio. Better screenshot or copy an error log. I think it's better to have a screen recording that shows someone exactly how to reproduce it. Yeah, you can do a screenshot of the actual error, but usually it's not useful. You need to allow the dev to get into the exact same state that caused the error. That's the best way you can debug issues. Otherwise, like you have an error log that doesn't really help you that much. So if I go to my users, another user added a cool functionality or cool feature where I can switch my role to an admin. And now when I'm an admin, I have to do a hard refresh here. I can go to a review page, and on this review page, I can see the things that were reported. In this case, someone, uploaded some bogus code. Someone reported it. I'm gonna go ahead and delete it. And now that snippet will no longer show up when you race. Here's another thing. When you hover over this practice button, there's like no feedback. It's kind of bad. Let's go ahead and improve that. I'll just say, come on. The practice button has no visual feedback when you hover over the button. Add hover styling on the practice button on the race page. Okay, that's probably good enough for someone to understand. Another issue, anyone's welcome to grab this issue. Basically, again, you hover over this thing. I'm not seeing any visual feedback. Maybe you can make the outline yellow. Maybe you can make the background color of the button yellow, but like, it's kind of annoying that you don't get any visual feedback. In case the snippet wasn't bad on purpose. What if it was a feedback button instead of report? Well, I mean, we already have a upvote downvote feature. Like, after you do a race, let me just do this real quick. Okay. You go down the bottom, there's a upvote downvote button. So you can actually vote on snippets. I don't know how useful this functionality is. Originally, we had it, if you get so many downvotes, it'll report it automatically for an admin to review. But we realized that, like, hey, when you're actually racing, we had snippets that were like 800 characters that go off the page. And you don't want a user to have to finish that entire snippet to like upvote it or downvote it. So we just had like a report snippet. It, you know, flags the inner system. It shows you a new snippet. So you can kind of just go to the next one. Again, I'm trying to demo what we got. What else do we got here? Top 10. So you can actually see how did you place against the other races that people have done, right? So right now this is all locally. So the only other competition I have is myself. But on production, you can actually see that, like, are you first place out of all the others or not? What else is there? History. So this is your history over time. So like first snippet, you can see how are you improving over time, or are you getting worse on that snippet? Pretty cool. Now we have a leaderboard over here. The leaderboard shows, if you've completed 5 races, you'll show up in the leaderboard and it shows your average CPM, your average accuracy, and races played. I haven't done enough snippets locally to like show up here, but it's just a table, right? Nothing too extravagant. And then we got an add snippet page. So someone can go and add in whatever TypeScript snippet they want, or C++ or whatever. So let's just find like a TypeScript snippet. Let's see if I can find one online. This one looks crazy. Let's do that one. Go ahead and upload it. We got some cool functionality. So when you first upload your snippet for the first time, or when you finish a race for the first time, you actually get achievements. Like a badge will pop up and confetti will drop down on the application, which I like a lot. So if you go to your dashboard, I think this is where you go to, you see your, actually this is not where you go to it. Let me go to profile. Kind of confused about how there's a profile in a dashboard. The profile is like what is public for other people to see. So in our case, we have like achievements that show up. We need to kind of make special icons for these. You can change your name. You can add in some biography. You can delete your account from settings. We have this idea of like a point system that we haven't really done much with yet. And let's go to the dashboard real quick. That'd be the last overview of this project. So this is like a list of all your recent races you did. So like you can actually click and re-practice any snippets that you messed up on. This is a list of the snippets that you uploaded. I'm not sure how useful this is, and I don't like the fact that you can actually delete snippets you upload, because I think that's going to clear out all the stats for various users in the system. So I'm not sure what the point of this is, honestly, but I guess it's cool to have for now. CPM is just your overall average CPM. Accuracy, again, is like how many errors do you type. And then we got awards, like what place are you in the entire system, how many races have you participated in, and how many snippets have you created. And that's about it. Well, we also have a contributors page. There's one developer who's been working pretty hard on this page where it just shows you all the people who have been working on it. It's really cool. So you can actually see who's done the most contributions. You can hover over and see their latest pull requests and commits. I think if you click on it, it'll actually take you to their GitHub repo. Yep. So shout out to all these people who have been contributing. Escape, Ragados, sudo add user Jordan, Mishubi, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Trace. A lot of people have been doing a lot of good work. So I would say that if you're trying to learn how to code and like you feel like you kind of know what you're doing, like you just want that extra, you want to like level up your game, I would say find other people to code with so that you can actually get real experience of like collaboration. Okay, you being like a lone wolf developer can only get you so far. You actually have to work on a larger scale project, and that's what I would recommend. So back to chat. I'm sure people have been asking questions. What's up, Shahabim YM? What's up, Cody? I came as soon as I could. Welcome. Yeah, I mean, if you like working on accessibility, feel free to do that. Just don't, like, this is the theme we're going for, so like don't come in here and like change all the color themes or anything. Like this is the theme we're going for, right? But you can find ways to make it accessible, like screen reader stuff, tabbing stuff. Do whatever you want. Yeah, I have to go look through the system to see if we're doing a hard delete or a soft delete. But I think at the very least, once you've deleted, quote unquote, the snippet, it shouldn't show up for people on the race profile anymore. What if you report a snippet, will it show again? No, once it's been reported, it won't show up again unless I go and I approve it. Do I have a roadmap? No, I think people are just kind of like adding stuff on. There is a multiplayer mode that someone has been working on with WebSockets so that you can actually race with other people. It's still a work in progress, but I think that'll be really cool when that's set up. And then additionally, there's like a race with friends planned out. So you can actually like add people to your friends list and then set up like a room and then kind of have your friends join the room. And then once everyone's in, you can kind of race. But those are like high level goals. Haven't really made too much progress on that though. Primary font for the header title is a bit distracting. You're saying this is distracting? You could probably move some of the stuff like above the card. It might make it a little bit easier. But I haven't found this to be distracting at all yet, so that might be a personal thing. Right now it's hosted on Vercel, but after someone worked on WebSockets, we're going to have to get it deployed to a stateful service, so we might deploy it to Fly.io. Yeah, so for the people coming here making comments about styling and stuff, you guys are always welcome to make a pull request, but we will not approve it unless like we vote as a community. So if you go through and you do a complete restyling of the app, we're going to have to vote on like what style do people like better. But really, I think the styling is like the lowest hanging fruit. Like I personally don't care about it. There's a lot more functionality that needs to be fixed. There's bugs that need to be fixed. If you want to come in here and change colors of buttons, that's fine, but I just don't think it's that valuable personally. Yeah, I have to go look at the functionality. We did have a discussion about this. Like you don't want a malicious user just reporting everything. So I think maybe it still does show up. The snippet does until I either delete it, like do a soft delete on it or quit it. I don't know. But let us figure out what we could potentially work on in my live stream. If there's anything I want to work on. Close my email. Okay. Hey, thank you, Pizza Boy, for dropping by. Oh yeah, GitHub repo. People are asking what the GitHub repo is. The blocked issue means let's hold off on working on it because there's just other stuff that's more important. Like someone put add a monorepo tool. I think this is getting into a space of over engineering, and I don't want to add it before we actually know that we need it. Create a race room model. There's someone already working on the multiplayer WebSocket issue, so I don't want anyone to like work on this until the person doing that prototype finishes. Create a model for people to select editor code styles. This one potentially could be worked on. So like the idea was allowing people to customize this, like have like a little drop down, or maybe in your profile you have a preference where you can change what type of syntax highlighting would be available. I don't think that needs to be blocked anymore. I just, again, I don't think it's that important to work on personally. Confetti appears only once. Yeah. Oh yeah, I think I was going to review PRs, right? So results for anonymous. So this is from Scape. Basically, if I were to be logged out, let me just log out real quick and show you. Going through a race, before it would just like say like this is a work in progress and we wouldn't see the results. Okay, to do results are not implemented for unauthenticated users. So this PR is hopefully addressing that. Let's see, first of all, if he added screenshots, he did. We got some screenshots here, current replay top 10. Okay, it's basically the same functionality, but missing the leaderboard or something. No, he's missing something else. I don't know. Well, let's read through the code real quick. Okay, so when you finish a race, let's see what this is doing. If you are not logged in, go to the results page with the snippet ID. So these two are kind of the same. Essentially, this could be pulled out just like down here, since this is like duplicate logic from what I can tell. Actually, it's not duplicate logic. One's a snippet ID, one's a result ID. So that's my bad. Looks fine. Go ahead and close that out. Okay, if there's no race results, that's just like a utility function he created. Actually, not found. Looks like it comes directly from next. But what's going on here? So he just adds some spaces to that. If you're unauthenticated, we get the current snippet. Get some tabs, stuff like that. Okay. And that one looks fine. Looks like we're reusing a lot of the same stuff. That's good. Replay timestamp. Current timestamp handle restart. I'm not sure what this is. I mean, maybe this is like a bug fix or something, but yeah, I don't know. It looks good. Let's just go ahead and review and approve. Merge it in. Okay, and then I'm gonna go over here. I'll just go ahead and git pull. I'll run dev, and we can see his changes on our local machine in just a second here. So let's make sure this is 3000. Let's go back to a race mode. Bro, Next.js is so slow. Okay, well, merging that broke something. I think I was refreshing on the wrong page. All right, so I'm not logged in. Let's start racing. Practice with some TypeScript. It's console.log hello world. There we go. Now we got some results. I wonder if that little if statement he added is actually a fix for this. Let's see. I think he might have fixed that, which is awesome. So I just made an issue 10 minutes ago. That's kind of weird. So when I logged in, it tried to take me back to the same page, but then it says, oops, something went wrong. I think when you log in, you should probably go back to the dashboard or your profile or something. I may fix that real quick. What is a callback for that? I forgot where the sign in callbacks go. Like, where does it redirect you? Click it, sign in with GitHub. I think you can actually like pass callback URL. I wonder what happens if I do this. Will that take me back to the home page? Yeah, that worked. I kind of rather it go to like your dashboard though, maybe. Because your profile. I don't know. Let's try this. I'm going to go ahead and navigate to the race page. See if this works. Log out. I'm going to go to leaderboard. Click sign in. Does it take me to the race page? It does. There we go. Well, so a little fix for that. I think it was kind of just when you sign in for the first time on some pages, it breaks. So I think when you sign in, it should probably just take you to your race page. But anyway, I wanted to sign in to verify that, hey, is this still broken when I replay? Because if it isn't, I can delete that issue I just opened. Nice. I think it's fixed. Yeah, so hopefully no one tried grabbing this because I'm actually going to close it. It looks like it's already been fixed. What do I think about Vue? I like Vue. I think Vue and Nux are still good solutions. I don't think I like React more. I think I use React because that's where the largest community is in React. And that's why I do at work. So I'm kind of double downing. I'm kind of like making sure that like, if that's where the industry is and that's where a lot of the jobs are for front end work, I want to make sure that my React skills are just the things I'm focusing on. If only 1% of the industry uses like Vue, but 10% uses React, I'm going to focus on React. Now for a side project or something, yeah, learning Vue or Svelte would be fine. But again, it's like I'm looking for that job security and be able to, I guess, market myself. Was there any changes to schema? I don't think so. Hey Cody, I've been watching you for a long while now. Love your stuff. Quick question. I started with TDD and now I'm using my SQLized Node Express. I understand that for unit tests, I'm not supposed to connect to the DB. Struggling with mocking and stuff. Do you have any tips, resources, or anything? If not, you should totally make an in-depth video on it. Yeah, so for TDD, for the backend, like, yeah, you're supposed to mock out the databases. Technically, if you're like interacting with the database, it's more of like an integration test, some people argue. The best way to like mock it out is like your API should call like a route handler. Your route handler, I guess you can call it a controller. Your controller should do a bunch of stuff to basically parse the inputs, validate the inputs, interact with your ORM or your Prisma models or whatever. You said you're using Sequelize. So like you'd have your Sequelize models. And on the controller, like during the test, you could say just.mock. And you can mock out those models, and like whenever someone calls, I don't know, user.save, you can mock out that call to not actually do anything. And just verify that like was the save method called. I don't know if that, yeah, maybe a tutorial or something would be better. What library is used for the replay? I think this is his own thing. So I think he's storing, every time you type into a key, he stores the timestamp of when you typed, and he stores that in local storage in like a giant array. So that when you replay, it literally just like loops through that array. You know, why am I just guessing? We can just go to the application here, go to local storage, and you'll see that there is a race timestamp entry here. And this is what it looks like. He basically stores, every time you type a character, he stores a timestamp, and he stores your accuracy and CPN. And I guess he has some type of interval. When you click the replay button and start, it just loops through X amount of milliseconds. And if your character is past that current time, it probably just shows up on the thing. So he didn't use the library. I think he just did it himself. What do you think about the job title design engineer UX in front end dev? I don't know what design engineer means, to be honest. So I don't think it's... That's what I think about the job title. I don't even know what this is. Like, I've heard of UX, user interface, user experience, front end dev, back end dev, full stack dev, DevOps, engineer. Every company just throws out random titles. DevSecOps engineer, like for security operations. Let's see. Juicy Ciaro. I don't know if I said that right. I mean, at some point you're gonna have to mock something out, right? I get a diagram going. Like if you have a user and they are hitting an API. Nice. Okay, so this is like your controller. Your controller has to hit some type of database things, right? Or if something in between, you have like Sequelize models. So when you're writing your unit test, you're going to have to mock something out, right? You can't just like, if you call the Sequelize model, but you don't mock out the actual underlying database, then you're still going to be hitting a live database. So like I would probably mock this out here. So that when you call like the model.save, it's not actually doing anything. This is probably a terrible explanation, but. Yeah, I think React testing library is pretty good. There's like a philosophy around, a lot of people say unit testing is kind of pointless. I'm still on the fence. I think there's some things that are really great with unit tests. Like if it's like a pure function, like has inputs and has outputs, and it doesn't have like 1,000 side effects, then a unit test will be really good. The problem with unit testing, like API controllers, is that an API endpoint can call a bunch of different database models and have tons of side effects. So literally your test basically is mocking out everything, which means your test is like super coupled to the implementation. And then you go and you refactor the implementation or you add a new feature and all your tests break. So some people don't like unit testing and they think integration is probably a better way to test. So instead of like mocking anything out, you would actually just test at this level. Test here, let it go through the entire system, and then verify the outputs. So your test would be like test inputs, test outputs. Okay, and this would be your integration test. I think this will give you more bang for your buck. Like, you spend less time mocking stuff out. You literally just hit your API endpoint, send us some data, and you should verify that certain things come back. And now it's a question of like, sometimes you can do some like some inspection on the database to verify like records were deleted / added. I know my head's blocking this. Give me a second. But then like now your test is super coupled to your implementation detail. So this is probably not a good approach either. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out like what is the best way to test stuff, because again, like let's say you have an endpoint that you call it and it needs to delete a user from your database, right? So you call that endpoint with a delete request. It sends back us 200 status code. You think everything's good, but for some reason your code isn't actually deleting anything from the database. So your test isn't actually verifying anything. So it's like, okay, well, I either need to look at the database to verify my user got deleted, or I need to write like a larger type of integration test where I first hit my delete endpoint, and then I hit a get endpoint, and I verify that the user was actually removed, and I should get a 404 or whatever on my get endpoint. So now it's kind of like you have an integration test that's like 2 back to back. And I don't know if that's even an integration test at that point. It's more of like a user flow or something. I don't know. Leave a comment. What's your approach? What do you guys do? Testing's not easy. I think that's why a lot of people skip it. I'm a backend senior dev and I'm starting as a lead engineer on my new startup. I'll be responsible for building a new team of 2 to 3 devs. Any tips on how to hire for front-end devs and decide stack? Yeah, I don't really do much hiring. I would say like find people who you think are talented, but also someone who would be fun to work with, like a good coworker. Because again, you have to like interact with these people 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You don't want to find someone who's rude or arrogant. You want to find someone who's willing to collaborate with you. So I don't know. Tune your hiring process to really filter for like people who are good at collaboration and good at communicating and, you know, can hang out with you in a Zoom and like get stuff done. For your stack, it really depends on what you're building. You know me, I'd probably say just use like TypeScript. I don't know if you can use Next.js. Hard to say. I don't know what you're building, so. But I would use something that's popular in the community, like it has a large community. That's just my opinion. Fully power enjoyer. Is it required to know testing to be better at finding a job as a front-end dev? I mean, knowing about testing will definitely, I think, make you more valuable than someone who's never tested before. But I don't think it's required. I think there's a lot of companies out there that actually don't test, which is kind of scary. So I don't think knowing about testing is required, but I do think it's like a huge advantage because a lot of companies do test. If you go to the interview and you say you never tested anything in your life, and they're looking at their project, they have like 100,000 unit tests, 1,000 integration tests, and hundreds of end-to-end tests, and they're like, oh, you never tested anything in your life, then you're going to be surprised when you join this project, because testing is not something you just learn in a day. Yeah, the part worth unit testing is usually a pure function that takes some inputs, performs some logic on it, and returns something else. You can extract the logic out and test that. No mocks required. Agreed that typically web API integration tests and intended tests are way more valuable. Yeah. So the issue with this is that you end up like designing your code in a way that makes it more testable. So instead of just having like a really simple function that you read through, you end up having like this function, which calls this function, which this function was actually dependency injected into the main controller. And like, it just becomes like a giant, I don't know, convoluted thing just so that you can like easily mock things out and test things. So yeah, I don't know. I'm at my point in my career where I do think integration testing and end-to-end testing are more valuable. End-to-end tests you got to be careful with though, because our team has personally wasted a lot of time trying to fix failing sporadic end-to-end tests with like Cypress. Like sometimes the stuff just runs slow on your CI/CD pipeline and it just fails, and you don't know why. So you go and you rerun it, and it passes. And you're like, okay, well I'll get this PR merged, and then the next day it's randomly failing for other people. So you have to go and like look at the test. You spend days trying to figure out why this test fails. And you're like, dude, I just spent so much time on this end-to-end test that I could have manually tested this validation or manually tested this feature in about 5 minutes. It's all a trade-off, right? There's a lot of testing zealots that say like you have to test everything. And like you could spend literally days trying to write a single test where you could actually hire a QA person to test it in 5 minutes on your system and just have like a checklist before you deploy. Yeah, I think mocking stuff, if you mock too much stuff, it's kind of like it's just not good. What happened to the code challenges? Do you still think they're as good for interview practice? I mean, I personally just got bored of them. You know, I think a lot of people liked watching the React code challenges, but for me, it's just not fun. Like, I do this YouTube channel for, like, I know it's to teach you all, but it's also, like, something fun for me. So if I'm just sitting there doing, like, beginner code challenges, it's not as fun for me. But I might get back to it. The issue is I have to think about all these challenges myself. I don't have like a list I'm reading off of to like do these challenges. I just think of the React challenges myself. And sometimes I just don't want to have to think some up. About the delete user situation you mentioned, how can that happen that you hit an endpoint that deletes a user and it sends 200 and does not actually delete the user? I mean, okay, so like let's just pretend you have an endpoint, right? I'll say function recres. Sorry, there's no like, oh, there is syntax highlighting. Okay, let's just do some pseudocode. So delete request to delete the user. And then you could say like model.delete. I'm not doing pseudocode anymore. Let's just say someone's trying to delete a user by an ID, right? So they send in the parameters or the body some user ID. And then you go and you like delete the user by that ID. And then you return a status of 200 like this. This is like the most elementary example. But let's say it's an endpoint that does like a bunch of stuff and at the very end it deletes a user. Let's say you had to go and send off emails to a bunch of people once a user's deleted. You have to generate reports, some type of PDFs or CSV files to know when users got deleted and like aggregate all their data, store that somewhere. And then at the very end, you delete the user. And then for whatever reason, since the code was complex, let's say this was commented out or like you're calling the wrong function on accident and it just doesn't delete the user, right? Your code could still return a status code 200 and your test would still pass. It'll say, okay, everything's good, but the user's still in the database, right? So that's what I mean by like, this is like a, you know, this probably wouldn't happen, like someone commenting out a code or like having some logic where the delete function is never called. But again, if the test is supposed to be like robust and actually test your system, then you want to verify that certain things happen, right? So like you want to verify the user gets deleted, which is why I said like you want to go and somehow check, did the user actually get deleted? Yeah, so I guess Holy Power Enjoyer, what I'm saying is that mistakes can always be made in the code where like the function returns the right outputs, but the side effect doesn't actually fire correctly. Okay, what if I did this? I'm going to go ahead and get the user first. Okay, and then I'm going to call user.delete. And then over here, I'm going to send back user. Again, someone could accidentally break the code where this line is never called. The user is actually sent back here because this is proper logic. Your test is verifying you get status code 200 and you get a user. But behind the scenes, you're never actually calling the database to delete the user. And I know you're looking at this code, you're like, this is such a simple example, but like I've seen functions that get like hundreds of lines of code long. Like it's very easy to accidentally make a mistake where like this stuff happens. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Maybe I'm doing a bad job explaining it. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of YouTube videos out there that explain testing. I'll just go like watch some testing YouTube videos. I don't have like a list of good examples though. Yeah, so Themis, like, yes, that would be what we do on our project. Like when you run the integration test, we spin up a Docker container that has your database, and every test is going to be reading and writing from that database and like asserting different things happened to the system state. I would recommend that every test should probably start with a brand new fresh database. So like clear it out, reseed it every time if possible, if it doesn't slow down the testing that much. Because otherwise you're going to have like test data that messes up other tests. But yeah, I think you're on the right track. That's kind of like what I would do for an integration test at least. Yeah, you can ask questions. Probably won't get much work done on this project, to be honest. Let me go ahead and just commit this example. I think there was missing multiplayer false. Probably should have been added to the example here. And I'm just going to go to the race page for right now. What's up? I got some people on Twitch that I've been neglecting. Yeah, I have it's a Next.js project. To utilize the OpenAI integration, does each person need to get their own key? Yes. You'd have to make your own OpenAI key and have that working locally. Because I'm not giving out my keys. I don't want people to charge me $100 for doing ChatGPT stuff. The problem with that code is that it is bad. Bad code is hard to test. So your abstract programmer should write good code. The snippet you provided breaks. I'm just not really sure what your argument is. My point is that when you have 10 people working on a project and everyone's pushing their own code, there's a much higher chance that you're going to break something on accident. That seems silly. Like, oh, this is a silly mistake, but silly mistakes happen. And if your test isn't actually verifying the right things, you just have a test that literally doesn't really do anything. And so it's your responsibility to like double check, is your test verifying the right thing, or is your test just verifying that like your endpoint returns the right status code? So the question is do you want to actually look at your database and see, did the user get deleted? Do you want to just do an additional GET request, which literally takes you probably 5 seconds to write, right? Just in the test, you do another GET request to the GET endpoint, verify the user's not returned back, or do you just want to check the status codes and assume that your test is good? That's just my recommendation. We got some Russian here or something. Do you think SQL gives junior devs an advantage? It seems like enterprise chat apps and social media apps use NoSQL, and those are types of projects I like building. I don't know if it gives you an advantage. I think most projects are in SQL. So it makes you a little bit more hireable if you know SQL and you understand like concepts of SQL. I would say me personally, I'd never been paid to work on like a MongoDB project. I've used DynamoDB at work, which is like a key value store. I wouldn't even call it like NoSQL. But yeah, I don't know. I think most apps could probably be written in SQL, assuming that you're not like super huge scale data. Adding tests seems like a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but it's not unnecessary work. It's like I said, if you have 10 people pushing code all the time, and then people come and go from your project every 6 months, like people quit and find other jobs, literally no one understands how the project works because everyone keeps quitting and you keep hiring new people. The only thing that helps you not ship bugs that break the business requirements is having a bunch of tests that verify the business requirements work the way it should. So it's like a lot of work, but it really ends up paying off because you can just make changes and not be scared about breaking everything. What would you recommend on making a Discord bot panel? I'm not even sure what that is. Discord bot panel. Can you talk a little bit about your eyesight? Do you do eye exercises? No, I just stare at a screen for 8 hours. I guess that's my exercise. And it's slowly making me more and more blind. Florian says, hey Cody, I'm a C# dev interested in learning Next.js. Should I learn Prisma or Drizzle? And what are your thoughts on Supabase? I haven't really used Drizzle that much, so I can't tell you. I do think Drizzle is more of like a SQL builder. Prisma is more of like an ORM, where you like create schemas and models and you interact with those models. Isn't Drizzle just like a fancy way to build SQL queries? For Supabase, personally, I've used it on a side project. I just don't see that much of a benefit unless you're like a front-end developer. You have no idea how to do back-end code, and you just want to like read and write from a database from your front end. Then I think Supabase is cool. Otherwise, you're literally just using like a Postgres database, and I would rather use something that like Prisma over the Supabase SDK for interacting with that database. They have like row-level security in Supabase, which again is something I don't really like because now your business rules for like who can access data, who can read data is all encoded in your database, which means you're going to be super coupled to Postgres. I would rather have the validation and like authorization rules happening in the code itself. So I don't know. I would rather pick Prisma. Although Supabase has a cool like login functionality, so you can like log in, sign in with like email password, get the password resets. That's like the one main benefit is that their authentication is pretty cool. They have like a file store thing that works okay. I've tried playing with that. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but how is Code Racer doing? It's coming along. It's kind of slowed down. I think we reached the point where it's like almost out of prototype and almost like ready for like real use. But I mean, it's been slowing down. Not as much community talk on the Discord. Not as much pull requests every morning. But we've made some progress. Let me try to speed up. I'm like skipping. Let's see. Thanks for streaming. Nice to pick someone's brain with your experience. Yeah, no problem. How can I access your Code Racer website? Right now, it's like still an MVP, and I don't know. I can't guarantee this thing's not broken because I just merged like a bunch of PRs, and we have an auto deploy happening. So sometimes I merge a PR and stuff breaks, but that's the actual link you can use if you want to play around with it. Watching from Sri Lanka, learning a lot from your content. Keep up the good work. Hey, appreciate it. Sorry, you might get this question a lot. I start my full stack role as a grad tomorrow and wondering what should be expected of me. Team projects like this isn't something I've ever done. I mean, I'll give you my experience. When you first get hired, depending on how big the company you get hired at, you're not expected much. Like, you're not going to be expected to do much. People understand that you're like a beginner. You don't know much. When I graduated college, they didn't even teach Git or version control. So like the first couple of months is me just learning how to like interact with the terminal, how to interact with version control, what the heck is Agile, what is Scrum, how do you even collaborate with the team. So if you got hired at a small company, like a startup, they might expect a lot more from you. They might expect you to move fast and implement features and stuff. But if you got hired at like a large corporation or company, they're kind of investing that you'll just like learn from them and learn their ways and like stay at their company. That's all I gotta say. Git helps me win people that can't hold their weight. I'm not sure what that means, but okay. Holy Power worked on pet Nest.js Prisma project using TDD with Pactum.js. Such a great experience. I haven't heard of that. Pactum.js. API testing tool. Is this like Supa test? Yeah, it looks like it's like Supa test. So you make a request to an endpoint. You can expect status codes, expect stuff to be returned. Cool. About gaming, it's like a dashboard for your bot so people can change things like name, set, etc. without needing to have the code on the bot. Yeah, so I mean, you'll need a UI. You'll probably need a database and a backend that stores the bot's configurations. I personally would just use Next.js. But I mean, you know me, that's what I do on my channel. But you can use Nuxt if you're more into Vue. You can use Laravel if you're into that type of stuff. Have you tried LASIK eye surgery? Do you have an astigmatism? I think I do have an astigmatism in one of my eyes. I just haven't been back to the eye doctor in a while, so the glasses I'm using are like kind of, they have like a little bit of scratches, so sometimes I gotta move my head so I don't like have the blurry on the scratch area. And then also like I just need a new prescription. But yeah, I don't think looking at a computer your whole life is actually good for your eyesight. I don't know if I want to do LASIK yet. I don't think my eyes are that bad that I would opt in for LASIK. What is the best chart UI toolkit? I don't really know. I mean, on this project, I think we're using Chart.js. What are we using? It's crazy. I don't think I've done like I haven't done much work on this project at all. Like the community is just like killing it. Recharts. We're using recharts here. Hey Cody, I'm a cloud engineer who's able to build out my first SaaS because of your serverless architecture. Video imposter syndrome really is a thing. I just wanted to say thank you. You are a goat. Cool, I appreciate it. I'm glad my videos could help you out. Yeah, I probably might just make more like system level diagram type of videos. It seems like people like those. You know, I think there's a void in YouTube content that kind of teaches that stuff. I wouldn't say I'm an expert at that stuff, but I do enjoy just like pretending like I know what I'm doing and drawing diagrams. Do you think it's bad for a personal project to use NoSQL in a SQL database? I built a chat section with NoSQL, but I think I need SQL for the workout part. No, I think some projects actually use different types of databases for different data, especially if you're using like microservices. If you can really argue why you want NoSQL for something, then you can build out that separate thing with just NoSQL. But I mean, for a smaller project, if you can get away with just keeping with a single database, like I think your code would be more maintainable, your project would be easier. I guess I'd be curious why the chat section was when in NoSQL. Could you not do the chat section with SQL itself? Thank you, the spiritual journey. Eden Hamzik, what would you recommend as a React project for beginners to put in a portfolio? Yeah, I don't I don't really know. Like the recommendation I ever give people of like, you know, what should I work on is find something that you're kind of like interested in or passionate about outside of programming and build an application that helps that. So if you like, for whatever reason, let's say you really like puzzles. You're like, that's your hobby. You like putting puzzles together. Make an app, a React app, where you can actually like upload an image. It cuts that image up into teeny little puzzle pieces. And then you have like on the right side, you have like a panel where you can go and like sort through these pieces and try to drop them onto the board and link them together, right? Off the top of my head, that would be something cool to do, okay? Do I like puzzles? Have I ever done puzzles before? Yeah, but again, it's like find something you like doing, and just find something cool to build with it. I have both PostgreSQL and DynamoDB for side project. SQL in general is good if you're making ad hoc or unknown queries. NoSQL is good if your queries are well defined. Can you elaborate on Tailwind versus Bootstrap pros and cons if it's out of scope for your stream? Bootstrap's like a component library. Tailwind's like an atomic CSS library in a sense. So if you would just want a library that gives you a bunch of pre-made widgets, you want to use Bootstrap, or you want to use some existing Chakra UI. What else is there? Material UI. They have like all these components you just put into your code, pass some props, and it just like gives you a drop down, gives you an accordion, gives you a side navigation. Tailwind is just smaller building blocks like Lego blocks that you can use to quickly build out components yourself. And then on top of Tailwind, there's a bunch of component libraries such as ShadCN or ShadCN UI. Well, that's not really a component library. It's like a collection of things. I don't know. I guess Tailwind's more for like you need fine-grained control over the look and feel of your site. Bootstrap is you just need some good components, and hopefully you don't have to style them too much yourself because it's going to be hard. Your code looks like some chat. Not sure what that means. Free Charts is the best chart library, hands down. Well, there you have it from Ash God himself. Free Charts is the best. Riley says, new viewer here who loves your software architecture stuff, but what's your thought on SvelteKit? I like Svelte a lot. I think Svelte is a great way to write concise code. If you compare Svelte against React, like the amount of React code you have to write just to achieve the same thing as Svelte is like mind-blowing. SvelteKit, again, is just like Next or Nuxt, just like an abstraction over the library itself. So yeah, I mean, I think it's good. Again, I just stick to React because that's like where the market share is. And I feel like if I switched over to Svelte, my content would take a dip in views. I'm a hostage right now. I'm a React hostage. Trimmer is also decent for charts. I've never heard of Trimmer. So if you're looking for chart library, maybe go check out Trimmer. Just got here, an amazing project. Yeah, I mean, I'm super impressed with all the work everyone's done in this project. It's crazy. I think when the multiplayer stuff is fully finished, like, I feel like people would actually might start using this for fun. Just like, oh, they're bored. They want to start racing with some friends. They might actually do that. Do you have any project ongoing? I would like to collaborate with someone. I have a full stack experience. I want to work with microservices. Yeah, I mean, if you want to join my Discord, maybe you can find someone to work with on a project if you really want to learn microservices. I don't know if asking my chat's going to be very fruitful, yeah, Levi or Levy. I think it's Levi, right? It must be hard to focus on coding and streaming at the same time. Yeah, it's just really hard to like talk and code and make sure you're like explaining concepts. I feel like I can code twice as fast when I'm not streaming or like recording videos because I don't have to think about ways to like break down explanations for people. Got an interview for a front-end dev position tomorrow. Congrats. Good luck. Good luck. Get some good sleep before the interview. Any tips and tricks? Yeah, I don't know. Like, find ways to like shake off the anxiety. You want to come across as confident and like you know what you're talking about. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe practice like talking to some other developers. Like maybe find someone to just like talk shop with the night before, so you don't feel like this is the first time you ever talked about coding to someone. Hey Cody, I'm still new to Next.js and I have a few PRs accepted for the Code Racer project. Any advice to contribute more? I really like being a part of the project. Yeah, I don't know. At this point, it's like you can look through the issues. Hopefully there's something here that hasn't been claimed that you might be able to work on. Hovering styles to the race practice book. At this point, I would say just like use the app, like play through it. And if there's anything that you feel like, oh man, this is kind of could be improved, or like, oh, it'd be really cool if I could do X, Y, and Z, like feel free to join the Discord, talk about it, and then like make an issue. I mean, I made a bug right here. If you want to go grab this one. Oh wait, this one I make a. Oh, this. There we go. It's already been fixed. How do you pronounce your name? Miss M. Jubit. I don't know how to pronounce your thing. Let's go ahead and pull that in. Let's see if he fixed it. Sorry, y'all. Okay, that should reload. Nice. There we go. Look at that. That's some community service right there. I make a PR and within 15 minutes someone fixes it. Yeah, so to answer your question, I don't know. Just it's hard for me to like sit there and keep making issues. So if you can be like a go-getter and like figure out things that could be improved in the project or new features, I would say that would be really useful. Patrick says there's a major void in YouTube with folks at your experience level. Just listening to your stream of thoughts is great, especially around testing. Yeah, I'm glad you find my stuff useful. SC Cody, to be honest, the reason I didn't build it with SQL is because Mongo is a lot easier. Yeah, so that's not a good reason to pick Mongo over SQL. The reason you pick a NoSQL database is because you have like actual documents, like you have data that's structured in a document type of way, and it makes sense to store this entire document into one entry in the database, because usually when you have to operate on that document, you need the entire document itself. If you have relations, you probably should be using SQL because it's meant for relational data. So picking something because it seems easier, I mean, I probably wouldn't do that. What I should focus more on while interviewing someone, like assessing their logical skills or reactive programming skills or OOP or yeah, I don't know. Like I personally have not given that many interviews in my life. I think I've been part of like 3 or 4 interviews. That's just not something that I care about. I let other people do it. I'm not really a team player when it comes to like helping the company do interviews. Because I have a certain way I would like to do interviews. I would rather watch someone live code, get them in front of you on a Zoom, watch them code for an hour, watch them try to problem solve, see if they can collaborate, try doing some pair programming with them or something. I don't know, but Like even just asking them to build a really simple backend API using whatever language that they want, right? I want to see their process. I want to see how efficient they are. There's people out there where you tell them to write a for loop and it takes them 20 minutes to figure out like the syntax of that. And then like, yeah, I don't know. What if I like to drink beer and watch YouTube? What app should I make? You should make like a drinking game where people can upload videos, and depending on certain keywords that the person says in the video, you take a sip of your beer, right? So there's some people who, when they talk, they say like the word like. For example, I say like a lot. Every time I say like, you take a sip of your beer. There's an app idea for you. Have you changed your mind on Web3? No, I haven't gone back to Web3. I mean, I think it has applications. I'm just sticking to what I know for right now. I regret that I had never invested in crypto like 10 years ago, but that's the main thing. I think the diagram videos help teach problem solving skills or just problem solving. A lot of YouTube videos aren't how-tos and come off as this is really easy, while your videos give an understanding of how to think through problems. Yeah, thanks. I mean, that's kind of what I go for. I want to teach you how to problem solve and think for yourself. I never just want to sit there and show you how to do something, because I don't think that's useful. Do I know Flutter? I've never used Flutter before. Cody, do you know why everyone is switching to ShadCN UI? Like, I like headless UI a lot. What advantages does each have? Everyone switching to new libraries confuses me. I think that's something you got to be worried about. Be cautious about. Just because you see some people on YouTube make videos doesn't mean everyone's switching to it. Okay, like you're just seeing a hype train. Although I do like ShadCN a lot. I think it gives you more fine-grained control over your components, because it just basically takes those components and plops them right into your project. The disadvantage is if there's a giant bug in one of those components, like you can't just go and update. You can't just do like an npm update and then get those bug fixes, right? You have to go and like figure out, okay, I'm going to pull the new changes. I think ShadCN just gives you more flexibility and control over the components. That's about it, right? If you like using Material UI or Chakra or whatever, I think that's fine too. Where's Tyler? What's up on Twitch? Sorry, let's see. Hey Cody, got to know you because of YouTube recommendations on your open source video, which was very practical. Loved it. Would love to see more such videos in open source, such as reading code bases. Actually, this is like I've seen a lot of people ask about how do you dive into a larger code base and understand it. So that might be something worth making a video on. If I can even make a video on that, like, for example, if you gave me the React code base or Next.js code base and you told me to go and like look through it, I'd be so confused. It's just, there's so much code. I feel like I need someone to hold my hand for the first week to understand it. So I'd need to actually like practice cloning a repo and like seeing how it works. It looks like the contributors page data cache still hasn't been revalidated yet. I really do not like Next.js caching. I think we have this page set the cache for a full day, because like the GitHub API rate limits how much you can hit from it, I guess. But yeah, Next.js is just, they cache too much. They're just literally caching everything, and it makes your application in development just so confusing. Any tips on how you focus on work that is not too interested? I mean, how to focus on work that's not too interesting. Get married, have kids, and realize that you just need to make a paycheck. That's how you can kind of keep yourself motivated. But I think it's a mentality thing. Like you can also always find some type of joy in what you're doing, right? You have to like convince yourself that, oh, like improving the documentation here, it's not that interesting, but it can help the project. I don't know. I don't have any good tips for this. Sorry. what is the pros of using Redux Toolkit? I use the plain old Redux. I just want to know what is the pros of Redux Toolkit and the cons too, please. Yeah, I mean, I personally would not use any type of like state management library until you absolutely need it, especially if you're using like Next.js, because most of the times you don't really have global state. Maybe like a user object is like the most you can see, or like light mode, dark mode. I think Redux is always, no offense, I think Redux is over engineering. But Redux Toolkit provides ways to do Redux with less boilerplate. So that's the benefit, I think. But I would probably always first just use prop drilling. If that doesn't work out, I use context. If that doesn't work out, I use Zustan or Jotai. Because I personally like to keep things as simple as possible. And Redux is a great way to like really make stuff over-engineered, in my opinion. Regarding the interview, do not underestimate the value of talking about your first project. When you didn't know anything about coding, talk about what you would do differently today. That's good advice. I'm trying to add a calendar to my app for tracking workouts. Do you or anyone know of any good libraries, or do I have to build it myself? I mean, I guarantee there's calendar apps like npm React Calendar. 500,000 downloads in a week. I mean, like, is this what you're looking for? If so, just use this, right? You can pick days, month, years, decades, supports range selection, any language, no moment.js needed. So hopefully that answers your question. So someone took issues. It is not up for grabs anymore. Or can someone try to complete with a guy? You can try to find someone to collaborate with, but I have never seen anyone work together on this community project. Personally, I haven't seen it. Maybe like NPMs are talking to each other, trying to work together, but I think once an issue gets grabbed, it's just like they go off in isolation, work on it, and make a PR. But I mean, you can change that. You can try to find someone who wants to pair on stuff. It's just like some people live across the country, so it's like you'd have to meet up in certain hours during the day. It just makes it very, very hard. Angelo, cool to see. We both have interviews and interviewees in the stream. Good luck to everyone with interviews. Did you try Ant Design? I think I tried it for one project, or someone made an application for me that had Ant Design. I can't really give too much feedback. What's up, Deep Soul? Have you ever created a mobile application? I have not. I've never done any type of React Native or mobile application. What's up, Max Programming? Hey there, sorry unable to participate because I'm trying to balance a remote job. Congrats on your new job. Are you liking it so far? Reborn, does anyone else get recommended a bunch of why software engineering is terrible? Why is this so common on YouTube lately? I don't think I've seen that video, but I mean, the nature of YouTube videos and just like content is like, if you're negative and you say you hate something, like in your title, like people are going to click it. But if you really think about it, we get to sit at home. I get to work remotely. I get to like be around my kids and my wife all day if I need to. I mean, obviously I'm working, but like I have the ability to go down and see my kids. It's kind of a low stress job. The pay is phenomenal. So I don't know how someone could say software engineering is terrible unless they were just on a very bad team with like toxic developers or like super, I don't know, inhumane managers who are like forcing you to get stuff done by a certain date and like making you work overtime. I've never seen that in this industry. People are usually just like, do your 8 hours, go home to your family and kids. Like that's like the common thing, at least where I live in America and the companies I've been at. So I wouldn't trust those videos. But again, I'm just one perspective. Let's see, regarding videos on reading a new code base, most people struggle with it, would be helpful. Yeah, I'll try to make a video on that. I can't promise I'll be able to like give you some good tips, but it might be interesting to make that because I've seen multiple people ask for it. Thanks for the help, Cody. Have a good weekend. Oh yeah, by the way, let's see. I like to give shout outs to people. Max Programming. So Max Programming, he has videos about Next.js and various other things. Some tutorials and stuff like that. Go check him out. I think recently he just got a job, so like he's probably not pushing as much content to his channel, but go give him a subscribe. Yeah, later, Eshgod. What do you think about Laravel? I never used it, but I hear people like it a lot, and people like PHP. Svelte and SvelteKit, I think it's fine. I think they work fine. All right, any last questions? I mean, I've been streaming for like an hour and 30 minutes. I thought I was going to code in the stream, but honestly, I'm just not feeling it. I don't want to code today. Yeah. So if you got any more questions, feel free to ask questions in the chat. Otherwise, let me close out of some of this stuff. Let me not neglect Twitch. Yeah, the software engineering is terrible. It's just clickbait videos. I mean, like, hate the game, not the player, right? The game is you have to make clickbait titles to grow your YouTube channel, at least most of the time, which kind of sucks. I personally try to avoid that on my channel, and it's paid off, I think. People like my no BS approach to just like talking about coding. Yeah, let's go ahead and merge this one. I just made this change, so let me go ahead and just set this to false. Merge it. YOLO. Show only users in top 10 once. Never repeat the same user. What is this? What page is this? Result page. Yeah, definitely. I think this is good. Multiplayer matchmaking. What's going on here? This function will find races that is most suitable for user. I was hoping to try to not put Prisma code inside of the TSX files. That might be my one comment. I don't know if this is good or not. I mean, is it passing? As you can tell, I do very non-thorough reviews, especially for side projects, because like, I don't want to be a gatekeeper. There's so many times that I've tried to contribute to open source projects and my PR just sits there for months and then it gets closed. And then I'm just like jaded because I'm like, dude, everyone says contribute to open source, and then you try and then your stuff never gets approved or merged. So I, on the other hand, if I'm going to make a community project and you commit some code, I don't really care. If it works, it works. I'm going to ship it. There's some things I would change about this code, but overall, would I block the PR from being merged because of it? Absolutely not. If you could change how you originally learned programming, would you change it much? I would say I would find someone to learn with. I would find a mentor. I'd find someone who can actually like code with me. We can struggle together. I think the majority of us who are learning how to code literally just do it on our own spare time and like struggle by ourselves. Luckily in this day and age, we have people on YouTube we can watch, which a lot of people learn tips and tricks from watching me code. I go and watch other people to learn tips and tricks about how they code. I go and join Twitch streams sometimes and just watch people code. Like, you know, the Dax. I think his name's just Dax, right? Primogen. Sometimes I watch his stuff. He's more of entertaining. He's not like learning tips and tricks. Watching Theo when he used to code on some of his videos, you can kind of see their process and like really learn more about how they do stuff. But yeah, that's the one thing I would change is like find someone to actually like learn with, or find a mentor, because I don't think I just didn't have anybody when I was learning. Have you tried Nest.js? I have not. What IDE are you using? I'm using VS Code. What is the best way to start on YouTube with sharing knowledge? I plan to make a video about this. I want to kind of give like the tips and tricks that I have done from making my YouTube channel, just to kind of give people a head start, like when they try to make their own channel, because it's not easy, and I'm still trying to figure things out. But the best way to start on YouTube is probably A, just start making videos. B, get a good, decent camera if you want to be on camera and you think that, you know, people won't be turned away because of how you look or something. But I think it's always good to be on camera because you have that connection with your viewers. Get a good microphone and sound treat your room so it doesn't sound like you have like, I don't know, like I've listened to videos where like I can tell they're using their MacBook camera and their MacBook microphone, and I click away within 5 seconds because the microphone is just so bad and the audio is so bad. I'm like, I can't sit here and listen to someone teach me when it sounds like they're sitting in like a conference room at a coffee shop. Okay. So make sure that the quality is good. And then as far as like the content, I personally don't really plan my videos too well, which is my main con of my videos, is I usually start with like a single topic and I just start recording, and then in editing, I'll come and I'll clean it up. I would say make sure you kind of plan a little bit beforehand, especially if you're starting off, to make sure you hit on certain key points. Make sure you do YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts is a great way to teach yourself how to deliver content and teach within 60 seconds. Like if you can make a good YouTube short and you can teach a topic in 60 seconds, it really helps prepare you for your longer videos where people are expecting to learn something with less time. What is the best way to start YouTube with knowledge share? Other than that, yeah, consistency. Just put out videos 3 times a week. I try to do videos every day. At least at one point I was doing super good with every day. But if you're doing 1 video a month, like no one's going to watch your stuff. Let's just be honest. Unless you have like the most phenomenal editing with B-rolls and hard cuts and various animations. Like that's the only time that people are really going to watch your stuff, if you publish like once a month. I don't know if that information is useful, but I want to make a whole video about that whole topic. So Max programming. For the videos on why software engineering is terrible, I think that people don't have interest in programming, so they make those videos sharing their opinion. Yeah. I would also say it's just clickbait. And at one point, people were just making like positive videos of like, oh, you want to make $500,000 as an engineer, which again is clickbait. But there's actually cons to being an engineer. There's, cons to being a software developer. Does UI and UX design is just a reference for developers? Sorry if I'm asking anything wrong. Does UI and UX designing? Not sure what your question is, but does user interface and user experience designing is just a reference for the developers? I think there might be a language barrier there because this sentence just does not make sense to me, but you're not asking anything wrong. Would you recommend getting a certificate for Azure or AWS? I don't think it would hurt to get one, but I do think it's kind of a scam. Like I'm sure there's people out there who have certificates who literally don't know how to build out systems using like infrastructure as code or AWS. I don't have any certificates. Should I get some? Probably, because it probably would look better on my resume, and HR people can like look at my resume and like, oh, he has a certificate. He paid $250 and took an exam that he probably could have pasted questions into the ChatGPT and answered questions on. Let's just go ahead and hire him because he has some certificates. Yeah. Am I tired? I'm always tired. I got children, man. They drain your energy. I love watching people code occasionally. Yeah, it's good to get a new perspective on people coding. What is the best place to find a work for beginner in front-end HTML, CSS, JS, and React? I don't know, like Indeed.com. I just go on those like online job forums, maybe. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna end the stream in a second here. I'm getting tired. Hey, what do you prefer for fetching data? By the way, shout out to my wife Tina Seibert. She's the one who always leaves the first comment on all my videos. So shout out to her. Everyone say hi to Tina. Say what's up, babe. What do you think about the time period for juniors who want to get into the company? I feel like job hunters. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining the stream. Last question right here. What do you think about the time period for juniors who want to get into the company? I feel like job hunters are more than companies nowadays. Not sure what this question is, honestly. I'm from South Africa, and currently company doesn't do unit testing, but we are implementing new features and want to recommend that we use it. Any tips on how to motivate this? I mean, I would again start with integration testing or some type of like end-to-end testing, and then argue that, hey, like this is catching bugs as people are like making PRs, and then work your way back to unit testing. Again, I think integration tests are going to give you the most bang for your buck. Also, like end-to-end tests. Maybe you already do that testing, but unit testing is hard to argue as much for because I sometimes feel like you're just doing busy work. Anyway, thanks for joining, y'all. Gotta drop. Getting tired. Been streaming for an hour and 30 minutes, but stay tuned for next Sunday. Usually I stream on Sundays. So press the bell icon and you'll see if I stream again. Have a good day. Happy coding. And feel free to join my Discord if you want to continue having questions or talks. You can ask people in my Discord if you just need advice on anything or you're stuck in coding and you want people to kind of help you out. Sorry, all the questions just came in right after I decided this is going to be my last question. So maybe ask in the Discord or next time I stream. Later, y'all.